I have band practice tonight, and I do not want to go.
I'm sorry, Dan Boyd and the Weeaboo Whalers are going to have a tough practice tonight.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 40k Badcast, where we are bad at 40k. And guess what? You can too, Campbell. It's episode 5. Here we are. We've got 2 more episodes before we go to, including this one, before we go to Adepticon. And are you even ready? Are you even ready for this, Jelly?
Dude, I'm not ready. I'm sweaty. I'm oily, but I don't think I'm ready yet.
That's gonna affect how your paint jobs. I know it with your gross, nasty hands getting all over those sweet space dolls.
That's what the varnish is for.
That's where that is the varnish.
Oh.
Ugh. We'll get into that later this episode. We're going to have a discussion about painting and what we do and how we do it. But first, let's dive right into the intro and the specs. What's on our hobby radar? So, Campbell, why don't you start?
Yeah, just what I've been up to. I just finished Roboute Girly Man a little while ago. Pretty happy with how he looks. Some people think the pictures I took made it look like he was on a high school backdrop, but that's fine. But yeah, when I finished him, I sent a picture your way, and he had a Catachan screaming head on him. And I was like, yeah, I think I made some improvements in the model.
So okay, real quick. So when you sent me that,
yeah,
I thought for a moment, is he for real? Did he replace Roboute Guilliman's head with a Catachan yelling head?
Like one of the slack-jawed Stallone heads.
Oh yeah. And I was like, because you do goofy shit sometimes, Campbell.
Oh yeah, it's my nature.
And I was like, oh my gosh, am I supposed to like this? and what happened though is I did like it a lot more than the Roboute Guilliman head. Well, that's not true. You did a really, really great job painting the face on that guy. And I know we're going to talk about more about painting more, but I just want to say you did a fantastic job with that.
Well, thank you. The face is there was the tutorial in White Dwarf for painting heavy metal faces, so I did that, but I wanted to do a test job first on that ridiculous, slightly too small for the body Catachan head. Because as much as I love that joke, 65 pounds is a lot to spend on a dumb joke. But yeah, so I did him. I finished.
Well, real quick, White Dwarf, man, that painting guide. I have that same White Dwarf. I've looked through that same painting guide. It is really comprehensive.
Yeah, no, it's lengthy. It's super helpful though. I'm not gonna do that for every face I paint for the rest of my life or whatever. But there's some stuff anyone can pick up to use there. Yeah,
they've been kicking the ass over at White Dwarf lately.
Yeah. But, definitely. But yeah, so I finished him. I finished the squad of Black Templars I was bitching about last time. Finished the squad of Sword Brethren because it's been so long that I've been able to build, paint, prime a whole nother squad.
What was his name? Sword Brother Chunk. You finished Sword Brother Chunk the other night. You sent me a picture.
Yeah, I just sent it with the caption. That fine cast melty face.
And I immediately thought Goonies. Baby Ruth.
I just think he's a sword brother.
You guys!
He grew up under some power lines. He can't help it.
Black Templars are hard up. They're hard up for members these days.
It's like the Community College of Space Marine chapters. That's why they got 5,000 dudes.
Real quick. That was kind of funny. I said hard up for members.
Good job. A+. Golf clap.
And if you like that joke, everybody, stick around for the rest of the show because you're going to get a lot more of that coming in when we talk about the Fanfiction Challenge.
Yeah, actually comes to a close this episode. We'll talk about that later. Other than that, I've played 2 games of Horus Heresy lately. Both local guys, Jamie and Tim, at a fucking terrible store, which I can talk about another time. But
do it. Tell me about the shitty store right now.
Oh my god. Okay, so I went there a few weeks ago to play a game against Jamie. He has an Iron Warriors army. It's so cool. Every model is converted. It goes back a long ways, 3rd edition barbed wire conversions and shit. And there's the typical pencil neck geek with long hair and Coke bottle glasses kind of lording over the basement at this game store, which smells fucking wretched. It smells like someone was playing a D&D campaign in the 70s, died there, and they just kind of let him rot. But
that's some colorful imagery right there.
Dude, it's because it's a colorful smell. So we asked him to play, and he's like, yeah, but you have to rent a room. It's $10. Like, okay, whatever. So we go rent the room, play it. We use their terrain. It's a good game. We leave. I go there a few weeks later.
Is that the one that you posted the whole battle report on Something Awful?
I posted. I don't remember if I posted the Iron Warrior battle report, but I definitely posted the next one.
Oh, no, you did Word Bearers. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going, sorry.
So I played against another local guy, Tim, who had a Word Bearers army, and I've got Ultramarines, so that's a good old-fashioned grudge match. It was... He's a great opponent. His army was really cool, but the battle was pretty one-sided because I was like a bunch of dudes with guns, and his guys were kind of coming in piecemeal. And my favorite bit was when I killed Zardu Lyak, and his blade slave decided to go nuts and start chasing after his other dudes, which was really cool. But the store, we go there to play. It's Friday night. And they're like, I'm sorry, it's Friday Night Magic. I'm like, all right, same Pensionic Geek from last time. Can I rent a room? He says, no, we don't do that. I'm like, well, yeah, you do, but oh, okay. He says, no, we need those rooms for Magic spillover. I'm like, all right. So I go upstairs, and there's a folding table, like 6 folding table, and there's a dude just doofing around on it. Turns out he works there too. And we're like, hey, can we use this table to play? And the guy just goes like comically long, like sharp intake, like for like a good 15 seconds. He's like, I guess, he says with an eye roll. So we just go set up our game. We start playing, and we hear the Pensionic Geek comes up, and they both stand like really close to our table, and the Pensionic guy is like, hey, are they allowed to be doing that? And the guy just says, well, I said they could. And the Pensionic guy just says, well, I wouldn't. And he kept trying to like fuck with us a little bit. And he was like, your stuff's in the way of the door, when it clearly wasn't. And he was like, I need a 3 foot gap here, 3 foot gap. And the dude was just fucking with us like half the time. Then then he starts going off and has to go run his magic event. A homeless guy walks up to the table and he's like, hey, I really like that armored car tank thing you got back there. I'm like, thank you, strange smelly man. Thank you. If he was at least nice, he just a little
he
odd.
probably wasn't homeless.
Yeah, he might have just been odd. And then like this group of kids comes in, and this is my favorite part. He's like, look at all this Dungeons and Dragons shit. That's for nerds. Oh my god, the new Yu-Gi-Oh set. And I was like, and I was just like, this is my hell. This is fucking terrible. So, yeah, great game with Jamie, great game with Tim, fucking terrible store, never going back.
That sounds like so much fucking fun.
The actual game itself was. Everything around it was not.
Kids, this is why we like to play games in people's houses.
Oh my god, yes.
Where you don't have to deal with fucking grognards and you can drink beer.
As much as you want.
Well, I played some games.
Oh, yeah?
In the last few days, but none of 40k.
Oh, what'd you play?
I played Blood Bowl.
That's still hammy enough to use for this show.
Yeah, so I got in a game against the very, very nerd famous Mike Brandt of Nova Open fame, where I played my old Metal Human team, and he was proxying a bunch of models for an Orc team, and it was just a exhibition, I guess you'd call it, match for Blood Bowl. No star player points or injuries or anything. We're just having some fun.
Like out of the box.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun, man. It was my first Blood Bowl game that I'd played not on a computer in a good long while, and I love that game. It combines somewhat simple rules with crazy random chance and risk management and a ton of strategy, and I just love playing it. And at low level, it's so fun because nothing is reliable at low level. Like anything you do, there is a solid chance that it's going to end your turn because you're going to fuck up. And that's the fun shit, Where you're
that's what makes the good stories.
You're playing loose, you're just having a good time, and it was a really good time. And then last night, taught this fella Sean how to play Blood Bowl with not a full game, but a series of drills or whatever. And next week we're gonna get together, and I'm going to teach him, or show him rather, what a full game is like.
Nice.
And hopefully he gets into it, because Campbell, I am starting up a Blood Bowl league in May here in the DC area.
Oh golly!
Oh my gosh! And so we'll talk about that more near the end. So also on the Auspex, more Blood Bowl. They released a Blood Bowl Ogre. They also released a bunch of star players on Forge World. I don't know if you saw these. Yeah. I actually bought all of those star players.
Nice.
And 2 of them came yesterday, but I didn't leave work quick enough to go to my leasing office to pick them up. So they're sitting there, and I'm not going to get them till tomorrow probably.
Well, you finished that Orc team, right? To go with the Orc star player, right?
No, I got most of the Orc team done. I'm still working on them. I'm taking a long time with these guys. I want to make them look really good. So
they look dope so far.
I'll put the pictures of the finished. Did I put pictures of the finished ones in show notes last time?
You did in the thread. I don't think we did in the show notes though.
Well, I'll check. I'll double check, and then I'll post some pictures of the ones that are completely done. And I got freehand on them. Like, it looks really good. I'm actually very, very happy with them. So the Ogre came out and the Star Players came out for Blood Bowl, and I really like the Ogre design. I really like the design of the Mighty Zug model.
Yeah, Zug's great.
I am not a huge fan. I'm kind of tepid, I'd say, on Morgenthorg. And I am not a big fan of the Varog Ghoul Chewer model. I think it's just a little doofy when you compare it to the really excellent new Orc Blood Bowl team that was released with the boxed game.
I think Ghoul Chewer is kind of he's in the right aesthetic, but he doesn't look that much more special than the average dude from that set.
Yeah, I also don't like that big like spade-shaped thing on his right hand.
Yeah,
it's a big
I like
spike, but I just don't like the way that looks.
I like the squig ball though. That's cool.
I do like squig ball. Hey, did you know that the squig ball that comes in the box set for Blood Bowl, it has a butthole?
Are you serious?
Yeah, if you turn it over on the back, I'll try to take a picture of it at home. I'll have to paint one up because they're both primed black. All right, whatever. At some point, listeners, I will post a picture of a squig butthole on the show notes of this show, so you can look up a squig's butt, which I know that most of you fucking pervs have probably wanted to do for a long fucking time.
All right, slight digression. I was at a friend's place for a painting day, and
did he have his butthole out?
Well, no, he had a troll for his orc team, and he got used from another guy in our gaming group, and the dude had lovingly sculpted a green stuff butthole on the troll, and my friend was just rolling with it and just painting it. He was like, all right, I need some typhus corrosion back here, a few more coats of Agrax Earthshade. And I was like, do you want some crackle paint to make it a little more gross up there?
Man.
Some gloss varnish.
That's really bad.
Yeah, it's foul. Like, looking at it, I just kind of like, a little bit, but
oh god,
artistry. Other aspects, other new stuff that came out. We got for Age of Sigmar. I kind of care about this stuff. The Griffhounds and the Aetherwings. Aetherwings they're cool. I like burbs.
We're talking a lot about games that aren't 40k in our 40k podcast.
I know. It's whatever.
I think so far we've talked about 30k, Blood Bowl, and now we're talking about Age of Sigmar.
Hey, I painted some Black Templars for 40k. And the Griffhounds, they're cool. They're little dog birds. I'm gonna have them. I have a Empire Age of Sigmar army, so I'll probably get some of those animals to run with that.
Dog birds is kind of offensive. I believe they like to be called bird dogs.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize to all the burb dogs in our audience. I'm sure there's like 4 of you. But funny, a 40k thing. The Death World Forest. I don't think we talked about this last time. It's out now. You sound... I'm tepid on it. You sound downright negative.
What the fuck is... okay. The models that Games Workshop has released recently are excellent. Like, bar none. Just really, really excellent. And then they go release this steaming pile of dog shit, Death World Forest. It's just bad. It's just shitty and bad.
It looks kind of like... Sometimes it looks kind of like aquarium stuff, which is okay. And I like the Eldar Ruins. I think the Eldar Ruin bits are cool. The rest of it is just kind of like too
There's like
disparate.
these fucking tongue trees. They look like trumpets with little dick claws coming out of them.
They also move like 18 inches a turn or something ridiculous.
I saw the rules for that, and I was like, well, I'm never using that in a game.
Well, I was actually watching a Warhammer Live like from their Twitch stream earlier today, and they were showing off the Death World Forest, and they're like, we're not reusing the rules, though. I'm like, oh, so even this is too much to take care of and keep track of.
So, okay, I like that they're releasing more terrain. I do.
Yeah.
I think it's just a little too much. Now, so I'm looking at like there's these ones that look like like mangrove trees with like regular leaves on it and like maybe spikes. And I think those are fine. Those are cool.
Yeah.
And the spiky guys, I think they're overdone, but they're not like ridiculous overdone. They're not Gary Morley overdone. But the tongue tree, fucking whatever trumpet guys, those things suck.
I think the whole set is over-designed, and the problem with terrain is you want it to be pretty easy to paint because it's supposed to be kind of taking the back, like it's taking the back seat, and you want to be able to get it done fast to fill up a table.
Right.
So having stuff this detailed and this like over-designed is not helpful.
Well, I can see how this stuff you could like throw it into a forest base that you're making for a forest as like an accent piece, and maybe that would be really cool. But just standing alone on themselves, I think they just look dumb.
Just give me like a 3-gallon bag of the old 3rd edition Citadel jungle trees that came in the starter set, and I'll be happy.
That's
some aquarium plants.
That good shit.
That is the primo shit.
Yeah, there's a guy on Something Awful, Buffalo Chicken, who
My homeboy.
everybody loves, who makes amazing jungle terrain out of aquarium stuff, and I'm super jealous of his just hobby shit. He's amazing.
I've gotten to play in his...
I want him to be my boyfriend.
Dude, so do I. My girlfriend calls him my boyfriend, actually. Because I hang out with him once in a while. But
he's up in
I've gotten
New
to play
York
in those
right?
tables. Yeah, he's up in New York. And a few of those guys from New York that he plays with are going to be at Adepticon.
Oh, for real?
So actually, he won't be going.
Make some friends.
Yeah, you're going to make some friends.
Hey, that's a great
some other
segue.
fat nerds. Yeah.
Because let's talk about Adepticon. We're going.
Yeah.
All right, so that's about a month away from now. It's end of February when we are recording right now, and that's end of March. And sorry, we were a week late with this recording because I was ready to record last week, but Campbell was like, "Oh, I gotta go look at a house because I want to buy a fucking house and live like an adult."
I want a really big terrain project that I'm not going to finish ever.
Did you find a nice house? Did you?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
We found a few we liked, and we found a lot of shitholes, but I don't need to talk about that too much.
I went house hunting here in Alexandria, Virginia, not too long ago, and if you aren't armed with like $2 million, you're kind of like shit out of luck.
Yep.
And guess what, listeners? I'm not armed with $2 million, so guess where I was?
Up shit creek.
There you go.
All
Adepticon. Right. What are we doing?
Adepticon. What games? We're going to be bringing some models. We're going to be playing some games. Going to be meeting some folks. Going to be drinking some beers, and not necessarily in that order.
So we are both in the 40k Gentlemen's Tournament, which is a 1,000-point tournament, and I forget what day that's on, but it's either Thursday or Friday. Then the other day, either Thursday or Friday, you're doing the 30k friendly.
Yes.
And I'm doing the 40k friendly.
Yeah. I wanted to do the 40k friendly so I could be in another event with you, but I'm not going to get to play. But when I registered, I was like, I don't know any 30k guys because I hadn't met the local group I've been playing with, so I wanted to get some 30k action in while I actually could.
No, that's good. That's good. It's like the guys from the independent characters are, I think, doing the 30k stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Carl's doing any tournaments.
He's doing a lot of open games. I threw down the gauntlet and called him out, and he's going to bring his word bearers, and we're going to throw down.
That'll be a lot of fun. I hope I get to watch it.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And then on Saturday, I'm doing the Battle for Hell's Reach. I do like to watch. You're right, I do. I'm doing the Battle for Hell's Reach Day 2 on Saturday, which is one of those more pre-organized 40k games, which I've never done at a tournament before. So I'm looking forward to that one because it's not my models, and I don't have to paint anything.
So when I went to conventions as a kid, I went to Historicon with my dad every year.
Yeah.
That was most of what the gaming was. Like there would be a wing set aside for tournament gaming and stuff like that, but most of the games were things you'd pre-register for, and there'd already be armies painted, assembled, set up, and you'd go there and they would just be like, okay, here's your stuff. Here's like a sheet describing what this stuff is.
Well, that makes a lot more sense in the context of a historical game because you're recreating battles that already happened.
And that's what Armageddon is, though. It's a future history game. It's a battle that already happened, allegedly.
I'm excited for it, man. I've never been to Adepticon. I've never been to this particular suburb of Chicago, Schaumburg, which I'm not that excited about because a lot of my mom's family is from suburbs of Chicago, and they're not the most interesting places in the world. But
is it? On like the Chicago stabbing index, how high is it?
Oh, low.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no. Chicago gets a bad rap, man. I don't really think it's as bad as a lot of people say it is.
Right.
But I'm really excited to go to Adepticon. I've heard so many cool things about how many people there are, how many different games get played, and how crazy things like the the team tournament gets with their display boards. Oh, yeah. I'm really, really looking forward to this.
I remember years ago there was this display board of a Dark Eldar raider, like Dark Eldar fleet, and he had this big portal, and all the ships were flying through the portal. It was absolutely insane.
Rad. I remember somebody had a giant Tyranid hive ship thing going on with a bunch of capillary towers reaching down into the ground with gargoyles and shit flying around. I thought that was really cool.
I saw an Emperor's Children army once that was their display board was a mirror with mounds of cocaine and a razor blade stuck in it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
Like
that was good.
Dr. Roxo, the rock and roll clown.
Yeah, like
so
that.
Campbell, I need some help though, man.
Oh yeah.
So
what do you need help with?
I have done zero preparation for Adepticon and do not know what I'm going to bring. I have to make a 1,000-point list and a 1,500-point list, and I want to bring my Armageddon Steel Legion.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'm going to bring yet.
All right. You got to figure what's going to be the most compact that you can carry the easiest. Because, like, when I've been doing this stuff before, I've had to rearrange some of the foam in my cases just to get the specific things I needed. And just take a lot of expensive, shitty units because that's the only way I can transport them.
Well, fortunately, at the 40k friendly, I feel like I can get away with having expensive, shitty units. Like, I'm not going to bring a super heavy. I'm not going to bring a Baneblade or a Shadow Sword or anything. But I am going to bring a Death Strike. I know that the Death Strike is coming with me because Death Strikes are the coolest fucking unit in the Imperial Guard Codex. Or the Astra Militarum Codex. So I'm bringing it. And then I'm thinking I could probably just pack it with the rest with like Lehman Russes and then bring like maybe 50 or 60 infantry guys and just see what happens.
I mean, that's pretty compact for a guard army.
I think I could do it.
In 2 KR cases, I can carry 4,000 points of Ultramarines. I think you can carry 2,000 points.
I'm shooting for 2 KR cases because I have that KR backpack, that KR2 backpack.
It's a good backpack,
and I'd like to bring that as because that's big enough for carry-on, right? We've talked about this. That's big.
Yeah, we talked about it last time.
Yeah.
If you want to learn more about that, check out 40k Badcast episode 4.
Is that the sheep podcast?
Yes, the Badcast. The world's foremost sci-fi sheep podcast.
There we go. I like
now that's a plug.
Naming our show is my favorite part of the whole show. So I think Death Strike, a couple of Russes, maybe a couple of Chimeras full of veterans, and let's call it like 40 guardsmen. I think that can round up 1,500.
Nice.
And I just hope that like the gentleman's 40k isn't like super competitive.
It shouldn't be, but someone's always going to ruin it.
At 1,000 points, like guard is really good.
Yeah, I did 100 guard model, like over 100 guard infantry models in 1,000 points once, and the guy just couldn't kill enough to actually put a dent in my army.
Remember at Nova Open when your 1,000 points of Ultramarines played my 1,000 points of guard, and I brought one Wyvern, and it took out half of your army?
I've been trying to forget for the last year.
I might not bring a Wyvern, though, because I don't think if I bring a Wyvern to the friendly, people are going to be like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, but you'll be going against some guy who managed to fit 3 knights in 1,000 points, and
they'll
be like, no, it's fluffy. My fluff is that I win.
If somebody brings 3 knights to the 40k friendly, like, I'm not even going to play. I'm just going to stand there at the other side of the table and like scowl at him with my arms folded until he gets uncomfortable and leaves. If I'm not going to have fun, nobody's going to have fun. Okay, we're going to move on. We've spent enough time on this. Unless there's anything you want to say about Adepticon.
Yeah, I'm bringing my Heresy Ultras, if you couldn't guess. And I don't really have a list yet, but it's probably going to start with 40 Ultramarines with 2 Apothecaries. That takes up like half my points right there, so...
What are the points? What's the points for the 30k friendly?
Oh, why would I know that?
Good thing you prepared for the show, asshole.
Just even more than you did. I've prepared for the show as much as you've prepared for Adepticon.
Oh, so now you're talking shit.
Yeah, now I'm throwing down the power of my gauntlet.
Well, I got an idea. Tell me how many fucking points there are in the 30k fucking friendly.
I'm gonna say 2,000 points.
And is that like more dudes than 40k or less dudes than 40k?
Well, it's Horus Heresy. You're buying Marines, so you're not gonna have like guardsmen eating up 5 points per man.
I'm thinking like a comparative to like the Space Marine Codex versus the Legion Codex or book or whatever it is.
It depends how you build your army, because like a starting squad of 10 Marines or whatever is like 200 points, but then after that they're like 10 points a dude. My points values are off, but like,
are you gonna bring Roboute Guilliman?
I'm gonna bring him, and I'm gonna throw down against Lorgar in my game with Carl.
Are you gonna bring Roboute Guilliman to the 30k friendly?
Oh god, I think the most unfriendly thing there would be that I'm slow playing everybody in every one of my games because I don't know his rules.
We have a month until Adepticon. You could play him a lot and get his rules down, and you could like get rid of the slow playness. Would that be cool? Or is he, like, super great?
Well, he's a Lord of War. He costs 400 points on his own. But also, you can in Horus Heresy, unless you take a very specific rite of war, you can only take I think like 20 to 25% of your army can be super heavies or Lords of War. So I feel like you can't actually legally use him in a game that small. I might be wrong.
Well, if he's 400 points and it's 2,000, that's 20%, right?
Yeah, so I could put him in that in a game that size.
I mean, that's part of your like space issues taken care of right there. 20% of your army in one model.
Yeah, no kidding. And the other 20% is a Land Raider.
Fuck yeah.
Yep.
Can you ride in a Land Raider?
Yeah, he can ride in one. I think he's very bulky, but yeah.
Fuck yeah. I think you should do it.
I just imagine him just like sitting in a fetal position inside a Land Raider and a bunch of guys have to push him out the door.
Like he rolls down the fucking ramp. Oh, God. All right, well, let's move on. We've talked about this shit enough. Let's move on to our second topic, our secondary topic of the day. Painting. Now, both you and I do a lot of painting. You do it way more than I do, and you're quicker than I am with painting. A lot because you work from home / you are unemployed. I know you're employed. It's a joke.
I'm very employed.
It's a joke. But
I work with my cat.
Your cat's your boss. But we want to talk about painting because for me personally, it's one of the most, if not the most rewarding part of the entire hobby.
It's also the part you'll probably spend the most time doing.
Correct. And when you finish something that you're really into, like these Orks I recently finished, like your Roboute Guilliman, it feels great.
Oh yeah. Like it's one thing to like play a game and you win the game or whatever. And that's great and you like have memories of that. But with this, once you finish painting that model, it's yours forever. You can just hold it, you can look at it, you can share it with the universe and usually get some feedback back from it. Which just it feels awesome.
You can take pictures of it and post it on the internet and have other nerds be like, "Hey, nice job, man."
Yeah, or other guys being like, "You gotta drill your fucking barrels, dude."
Always drill your listeners.
Always drill your barrels.
Always drill your fucking barrels.
Drill your barrels, trim your mold lines, paint your eyeballs.
Thin your paints.
So
you know what? Actually, no. This is helpful. Let's do like a 5-point thing of what are the most important pieces of advice we can give for people who are starting painting. And I'll go first.
Easy.
Thin your paints. If you are a beginning painter, because this is when I was a young boy, painting my very first Warhammer 40,000 army, the Grey Knights, I think I did a pretty good job of them for being like a 18 or 19-year-old kid. But I look at them now, I wasn't thinning paints very well. I tried to blend things that shouldn't have been blended. I didn't really understand washes or shading. And it's just parts of the models are just goopy with too much paint.
Yeah.
So if you're getting into this, if this is something new to you, just take it easy with those paints. Thin them out to like a consistency of around milk, I would say, like a nice 2% milk, and you paint with that. And yeah, it won't cover as well as like thick fucking paint, fresh from the pot or fresh from the drop bottle or whatever. But it will look so much better when you're done.
After just like 2 or 3 thin coats, they'll always look better than one big thick one.
Exactly, and that's one of the few times in the world that actually counts. It's a dick joke.
It is a dick joke. It's a pretty good dick joke.
Oh, there's a lot of those coming up for you guys. Okay, Campbell, what do you
shows.
Besides thinning your paint, what is your most important advice to a new painter?
I really think bases are paramount. Like you've got to do something with your base. I have so many armies and so many models that I just don't use because all the bases are black or just the color of spilled paint, and you got to think about what that base is going to look like and how it can complement your model. Because even a mediocre paint job, if it's on a base that complements that model, will look pretty good, especially from a distance, while a black base will always look like shit.
Right, and some things it's easier to base for than others. Like I'm doing Blood Bowl, and it's pretty easy to do a Blood Bowl base because you're doing a field with grass on it and then painting white stripes on the grass. So, but that ties it in, makes the model look so much better because it adds a context to the model, adds theme. Like my whole Imperial Guard army is based on what's supposed to be like rubble and gravel. So it's gray. It's not the most difficult like thing to paint, But and on its own, I don't think it looks that great. But when the whole army is based like that, when you have hundreds of guardsmen based in that same way, I think the effect is really quite good.
Yeah, it's the frame for your painting. Like it's a frame around a picture. That's something to consider when you're
you don't slap some fucking Scotch tape on the back of a photograph and like just smack it on your wall and be like, it looks great. You put a nice frame on it, right?
So the one concern I hear about basing a lot is like, well, if I have snow bases, they'll look stupid on grass, or if I have grass, they'll look stupid on lava. It's like, well, yeah, but if it's a black base, it's gonna look stupid on everything. Right. And like everyone kind of gets that your base is not gonna match every table you're on, unless you're doing clear acrylic bases or whatever. In which case, that's cool. That actually is cool.
I know a guy who does that. You know a guy who does that. Scott, that we met at Nova.
Yeah,
he does clear acrylic bases for everything.
They look pretty.
I think it looks great. He's actually really good at painting too.
Yeah, no, his armor is solid. Good. But also, like, one thing I had is I have, Guard and Marines and all these different armies. And for a while, every army was based a different way because it had a different idea. And then a friend of mine asked me, why don't you ally your armies ever? I'm like, well, I can't. Their bases don't match. Which is the most, like, obsessive, like, petty, stupid shit. But it matters to me when the visuals of this game matter so much. Because this is a very visual medium. It's a very visual hobby. Mm-hmm. When things don't match, it kind of fucks with you.
So that's a really good point. I have plans to expand on specifically more different types of forces of the Imperium in 40k, and I'm gonna base them the same as my guard. You should. So I can interchange them and just use them as the same army, pretty much.
For Grand Alliance Imperium.
Okay, so another tip I want to give out is have a plan. Come at painting with a plan in mind. You can practice. I had a bunch of expired gift cards I remember that I was using to practice camo schemes when I started painting my tanks for my Armageddon Steel Legion. I would prime these like expired Visa cards or used Visa cards because they had some texture in them in the numbers. And I would prime them black and I would start experimenting with camo schemes. Before I even I put paint-a-brush on a tank.
That's really cool.
And the idea there was that I was going to figure out what I was going to do before I was going to do it, so I could have a plan, so I could attack it systematically.
That's what test models are for.
Exactly, and I think that with our example that you were talking about earlier, that Catachan head that you practiced from the White Dwarf painting guide, the heavy metal face painting guide that you were referring to earlier, you practiced on that head before you did the Roboute Guilliman head to get an idea of how to do it.
Yeah, and the thing is, even now, like as someone who's been doing this for almost 20 years, I don't take that advice enough. Like the marble base for Guilliman, I had to strip that and redo it because I did not like. Oh yeah, the first time I tried doing this white marble and it looked awful. I followed the Warhammer TV tutorial for it, but it just didn't look as good as it did in that. It looked awful. I just stripped it. It still smelled like simple green.
No.
But speaking of having a plan, like there are enough tutorials and plans out there that you can always find something to follow. If you're not sure.
The Warhammer TV team is doing such an incredible job giving you the tip of the day with Duncan.
Yeah.
I got Morgan Thorg in the mail, and I was looking at the model, and he's got horns on his chest plate, and I was like, man, I kind of remember Duncan doing a tutorial on how to paint horns a while back. And so I went last night and I was looking on YouTube and I found it, and it was buried in the Rotbringers, like Nurgle Rotbringers, Age of Sigmar model tutorial that they did, and the horns that he would do, they look really good. So I'm going to use that technique for when I do paint the horns on Morgenthor. But I used the painting red robes technique for when I did my Tech Priest Engine Seers. Mm-hmm. I used the painting yellow technique, the painting yellow on the what do you call them? The Imperial Fist. That's right, Imperial Fist style yellow on my Orks for my Blood Bowl.
Oh yeah.
There's a ton of great resources out there, and sometimes, man, all you got to do is just look in your codex. Like I did the Armageddon Steel Legion for my guys. I just looked in the codex and tried to match up paints.
Yeah,
and I came with the plan, did a couple of test models, and looked at if I liked the way their coats looked and everything, and I did, and it was off to the races at that point. because I had a plan. I had a system built out for batch painting, which, if you don't know what batch painting is, that's when you, or at least for me, when I see batch painting, it's you're painting a bunch of models at once and you go by color. So I'll do all the yellow on these models, and then I'll move over to the leather, the brown. Then I'll move over to the lead belcher, the silver, and you paint a lot of stuff at once to get a lot of stuff done at once.
So what's the biggest batch of models you've ever batch painted at once?
Probably 20 guardsmen.
Okay. I did 20 Empire Crossbowmen, and their scheme is red and white quartered.
Oh god.
And I did it over black. I don't know why I did it over black.
Why didn't you do white?
I do it over gray now, but doing that, I didn't touch another fantasy model for 2.5 months. God. I was like, I fucking hate this hobby. I hate this.
When they started releasing the Mechanicus Standard Gray primer, Games Workshop did, I did a fucking backflip, because that's what I base coat my tanks as. Yeah. And so you still have to, after you spray it, because the sprays never really match up with the colors that they're supposed to be.
I found the McCragg blue does.
Oh, really?
The blues from Ultramarines does, like, to a T. It's fantastic.
That's awesome, because the Mechanicus Standard doesn't. It's got a little bit of a green cast to it, but if you put one thin coat of out of the pot Mechanicus Standard on top of that, it's perfect.
I mean, I still do that to, like, cover up, because I'm always going to miss something, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so give me point number 4, Campbell.
Don't rely too much on one tool. Like, I know people who will just dry brush everything, or wash everything, or just layer everything. And especially with new painters, like when I was a new painter, or a younger painter, once I learned dry brushing, I thought that was the bee's knees, and I dry brushed everything. So I had, like, Ultramarines with Ultramarines blue dry brushed over black twice, and the yellow trim was also dry brushed, and everything looked like shit. But I thought it was cool because it was picking out all the details. You don't want to over rely on any tool. Understand that these are all tools to use in your toolbox. You don't use a hammer on a screw. You use a hammer on nail. Like,
I feel that this week's or this episode's show notes are going to be pretty picture heavy, because I want to see pictures of those.
I've still got them,
and I'm gonna post pictures of my. I can post pictures of, like, my current armies, and then tell you when I painted them. That might be interesting for people, right?
Yeah, no, it's always cool to see people's first models. Like, even my first models I painted when I was like 6 years old, and I just glooped Tester's paint on top of them, and it's like, well, that's one color.
That's nice. That's good.
It's a good foundation.
So that's a really good, sorry to interrupt you, but that's a really good point. Don't rely on just one thing, because one thing that works, like, I think dry brushing on tanks and vehicles works really well. Yeah, especially like Ork vehicles or Imperial vehicles that tend to be boxier and angular. I think you can get a lot of mileage out of dry brushing there. But when you look at, like, a Marine, dry brushing a Marine, I don't think is nearly as good as edge highlighting a Marine.
Like, even the Warhammer TV tutorial where Duncan does, like, an edge highlight and a dry brush Marine, puts them side by side, and he's like, look, it's good. I'm like, it isn't. The dry brush looks like shit.
Yeah,
because it doesn't work on all those rounded surfaces.
If you're working on anything like flesh, whether it be dark skin tone, light skin tone, green skin tone, blue skin tone, all that stuff looks great when you shade it. Yeah. All you got to do is throw some shading on it. And Games Workshop, they make those shade line of paints, which are very thin. I use those all the time, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, they're great. They're talent in a bottle, but again, you don't want to over rely on them, because if you use those shades on, like, a tank and just put them on the big flat panels, they pool and look gross and doesn't work.
They do.
And you have to figure out what shade works for that color, because a lot of people will just go black shade and everything, and black shade over skin color or over yellow or over most colors looks really terrible. It's a cool color. You need to use a brown.
You could make the argument, though, that you could put Agrex Earthshade over anything and it would work fine.
Just about.
It doesn't work that well over gray, actually.
It does, sort of. It makes it look kind of rusty. I used to use that for my old speed painted orcs. Okay. It was like almost white gray with that brown wash over it. Made it look like old beat metal. It worked okay.
Do you ever use airbrushes?
So my friend Chris gave me an airbrush. He's like, hey, you can learn how to use this. And I was like, how? and I don't want to break your big expensive thing, and I also have nowhere to put this. So I have one, but I've never used it.
Nice. I've used it to help like on Nova terrain days for the Nova Open. I've used it to paint terrain, but I've never used it on any of my models before. All right, and I have one more tip of the 5 tips that we're going to give, and the last tip is push yourself.
Ooh,
do things.
Push it real good.
Yeah, do things that bring you out of your comfort zone as far as painting goes. It took me a while to get into edge highlighting because I thought that dry brushing was good enough, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this. I tried it out for the first time on a Raven Guard Marine. No, I'm sorry, a Death Watch Marine that we had built a collaborative team had built a Death Watch squad for Joe, the guy who ran the Philly Apocalypse game a couple years ago, as a thank you for running the Philly Apocalypse game. And I tried edge highlighting that, and I didn't really like it so much. But since then, I've been practicing it and getting better at it. And now I think it makes models look so much better.
Yeah, it's so sharp. It makes them really pop.
So when you hear about different types of strategies and different types of skills in painting, give them a shot. Try them. Because it's going to make you better as a painter.
Because even if you don't use that skill all the time, it's still good to know it.
And let's real quick talk about supplies. I personally use mostly Games Workshop products. Not really for brushes, because the brushes are a little too expensive.
Their brushes suck. They suck.
I actually like their brushes.
I have one of their medium layer brushes.
I think they're too expensive, but I like them.
After a month, that brush is a frayed mess. I use it only for dry brushing now.
I guess your mileage may vary then, because I have this same type of brush, and I've been using that medium layer brush for a long, probably 6 months now with no problems at all. But normally I go to Michael's and just buy whatever brushes they have there.
Yeah. I will say, like, there's something to be said for like the cheap 12-pack of brushes for $5 you can get Michael's or Amazon, and I use those plenty. But I also use Scharf brushes, which are like red sable hair brushes, and they maintain that tip perfectly, and they hold moisture forever.
If sable brushes, really, it's the natural fiber brushes.
Yeah,
I find are way better.
Yeah, they're
sable.
You're getting what you pay
for,
or
whatever else. Those are really, really good.
Yeah, you're getting what you pay for.
Not horse meat.
But no, don't paint with horse meat. I advise against it.
What are you buying your brushes from IKEA? What's up, joke from 2 years ago? How you doing?
Woohoo! Yeah, so you threw me for a loop here. So
Sorry.
generally, paint wise, I use mostly GW paints. Their paint range is generally very good, with a few exceptions, namely. Black. It's shit. I don't know why. So I use the P3 like charnel black or whatever the basic black is for them.
Yeah, the Abaddon or Abaddon black, whatever you want to call it, from GW is
it's trash.
Garbage.
It's trash.
Fucking garbage. It doesn't cover anything.
I don't know how.
It used to be so good too.
Yeah,
The Chaos
Black was fine.
It used to be so fucking good, and now it's just shit.
And like yellows are always gonna be kind of crap to work with.
No,
but
no, they're not.
Red?
No, Averland Sunset.
Oh yeah, that one's good.
Averland Sunset, you have to water it down quite a bit because it's kind of gummy.
Yeah,
but it's gummy because it has a fuck ton of pigment.
Yeah,
and it works.
No,
it's
true.
really good. 2 coats over black and it's fine. 2 thin coats over black, you're money.
Once you're getting into lighter yellows, it gets tougher.
Well, if you're painting lighter yellows over darker colors, come on, don't do that.
Well, you saw my night, my like all yellow, like mostly yellow night. That thing was a fucking nightmare. So I really got familiar with those yellows.
I've painted like 200 yellow guardsmen.
That's true.
Like it was before Averland Sunset. It was Eandon Dark Sun.
Yeah, that was the old foundation paint.
Both of those are fantastic.
No, I have nothing bad to say about the foundation yellows. But as for beyond that, like there's all kinds of stuff you can use for a painting area. Like personally, I like having a permanent painting area because then I can just stop on over, flip things up, and just start working on something for half an hour whenever I feel like it. I have this paint station from Black Maria Designs. I got a gift card for them when I from Nova last year.
Oh, that's Todd's company, the guy who brought the Revenant Titan.
Yeah, with a really nice display board.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really
almost knocked over that one time.
Yeah, you felt so bad. You looked,
I was terrified.
It looked like Mom just found you with your hand in the cookie jar, and you're really guilty about it.
No, I collapsed to the floor because I thought I broke his models.
Yeah, I know. You couldn't bring yourself to look at it.
No, I was terrified.
I had to tell you that it was still okay.
Oh my god!
But
even like even thinking about that now is giving me chills.
You're getting hives.
Breaking somebody else's models, like especially really well painted ones, is like my biggest fear for this hobby. Not breaking my models. It should be. My models, fuck them, whatever, who cares? But if I would like knock over Todd, who's a really really nice guy, if I knock over his Revenant Titan because I'm a fat clumsy piece of shit, like that's the worst thing possible.
Yeah, no, because that represents an irreparable amount of time and money spent. But going back, Todd's company, Black Mirror Designs, they do cool stuff, but I wasn't really looking for the terrain he was offering because it's like Western villages and Eldar stuff, which isn't really my bag. But he had this really cool paint station, so I've got all my paints and brushes all arrayed here, which makes having an organizational thing for your paints is really helpful and makes painting a lot easier.
It is. I need to actually get onto that. I have an old drafting desk that one of my mom's coworkers was getting rid of, and I have that as my desk. It's permanently set up in my house with a cutting mat on top of it, and I have a computer on it too, so I can listen to podcasts while I paint. And I have an IKEA cabinet next to it that has all my supplies in it. But yeah, my paint situation, I need to get better organized there.
Having a permanent setup for your painting is, I think, pretty almost mandatory to really get a lot of good work done. Sometimes it can be hard.
It is the most. I would say, man, maybe we should add another fucking tip. Have a permanent paint setup. Yeah, it's huge.
Like it's hard. Like, but I even had one when I was in a dorm room in college. It was tiny, but it was still there.
No, I did too. I did too. And then my roommates or apartment housemates or whatever would bring over girls and they'd be like, what's going on over there? They're like, oh, it's Dan's fucking spaceman painting zone. And then they'd laugh at me and I'd be like, oh man.
And you'd be like, I'm going to remember this in 10 years.
And I do.
You'll never forget it.
No, have a permanent painting setup because like for me, when I walk into my house, I have a small apartment. So I walk in and I see it. And I'm like, oh shit, I can work on those guys tonight after dinner or something, and it keeps it fresh in your mind.
Yeah, like when you have to like go dig something out to work on it, you're not gonna work on it very often. Exactly. Like my guitar is like under my bed in the case, so I never bring that thing out.
It's the same thing about like going to the fucking DMV. Like the whole hard part of it is just going there. Because once you're there, you don't fucking do anything. And now everybody has fucking smartphones. You can be on Twitter or you can play Blood Bowl on your fucking phone the whole time you're there.
Yeah, that almost makes the DMV tolerable.
It's just annoying. So whenever you have to pull anything out, whenever you have to change the situation, it's harder to do. And so having a permanent thing is really, really important.
Yep. And I'd recommend, I have a tea tray turned up over my painting area because I have a very fluffy cat who will sit on my painting table and fluff all my models. So yeah, it's good to have some way to cover it.
I keep models in cases. I don't just let them hang out usually. I have my case, like KR cases and stuff next to the painting desk, and I usually keep models in them while I'm not working on them because I also have cats and there's dust everywhere. And you don't want to get dust on paint, like painted models, especially after you varnished them, because the dust and the paint will merge together and it'll ruin your paint job.
So will hair, of which there's a lot because I have a very fluffy cat. So yeah, a can of compressed air is a good thing to have in your toolbox.
Yeah, or just like a loose brush to lightly brush off models when you're when they're starting to get dusty. Okay, I want to move on.
Yeah.
It's a really good discussion about painting. I can talk about painting all day, but we got to get to the meat or the potatoes. It's the meat. No, it's always the meat.
This is the dessert. This is the cherry on top.
This is the cherry on the cherry red, juicy, delicious cherry on top.
Succulent, even.
Succulent, dripping with juices. Just
throbbing.
So many secretions. Ugh. A lot of secretions.
Moist.
Ooh, it's so moist.
Moist cherry.
It's really moist. Have we talked about how moist this cherry is? You perverts. It's the fucking Fanfiction Challenge. Campbell, we actually got entries.
We got like 4.
Which is huge. Nobody listens to this fucking dumbass podcast. We got entries in the Fanfiction Challenge, and they're fucking perfect.
Yeah, neither are written by us also, which really surprising.
That's the best thing. It would have been a tough fucking time if we had to write fucking fanfiction basically today before this fucking podcast goes. but I'm really excited about him. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first? I feel like I should go first because you're better at reading than I am.
Okay.
So this is so great. This is by Hamshot. And is he a goon on Something Awful?
Yes, he is.
Okay, this was my favorite story out of the 4 we got, mainly because it involves anal sex and sounding, which is when you stick something up somebody's pee hole and it's supposed to feel good. I've never done it, so I can't speak to it, but I mean, you can find videos on the internet, so go do that, listeners. But I really liked it. There's a lot of really great imagery in there. And there's also orc voice, which I am not prepared to do, but I'm going to fucking do it anyways. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this. I'm stoked. I'm ready to sound.
So this
let's dock this fiction right here.
We're going to fucking dock it. So this is Untitled, but it's by Hamshot. The commandeered Space Wolf Stormwolf, bearing the Thunderwolf iconography of Bjorn Stormwolf's Stormwolves, and filled with Wolfguard bearing their wolf claws, soared over the dirty no man's land known as the Taint, between the Imperial forces and the Orks of Mad Mech Brubbygut. It was piloted by none other than Biff Tundrish of the Imperial Fists, flawlessly piloting the Space Wolf Stormwolf of the Stormwolves after their pilot was killed off-screen. "Where do you lads need depositing?" he barked into the comm system. "Our target is the Mecha Gargant of Brubbygut himself, laddie," came back their pack leader. "We board that. Snip, snip his horrible head clean off. The war dies here." Biff could see it squatting over the horizon, spewing destruction as it waded knee-high through the muck of the Taint. "Target spotted, and I think I can see where we can enter from. That access port looks only lightly armored." "Days hammer in our back door!" screeched the squawker box on the bridge of the Gargant. Mad Mech Brubbygut shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He knew that area was vulnerable and now regretted not hammering in more rivets. "Begin the torque maneuver!" he shouted back. Turning to his Gretchen aide, he roared, "Grot! How's loading the big gun going?" "2 ticks, boss! We've almost got that special white magnesium loadout!" groveled the Grot.
Oh, no.
Just then, the entire bridge began to rock as the Gargant began its maneuver. Oh shit, I hit page down instead of down. Fuck, okay. The door of the Stormwolf was open, but Biff could not get a stable shot at the rear. "I'm having trouble getting a stable shot at the rear," he conveyed. The venerable old wolf voice replied, "Try the front. That cannon, it looks girthy enough. Me and my legs could board it from there." Why, it was mad enough to work, thought Biff. He deftly maneuvered the craft around to the front, discharging all the while, avoiding all the fire of the Gargant as it lacked any Skyfire weaponry. Slamming on the thrusters, the Stormwolf plunged inside the front cannon, the gaping hole barely wide enough to accept the pride of the Space Wolves. "Days docked, boss! The Yumi's on side of us!" screeched the squawker box once again. Mad Mech Brubbygut saw it enter from the bridge, a craft that was surely too wide to fit inside there. But the Beakies once again had surprised him with their unnerving accuracy. But just then, a thought occurred to him, as slowly as the toothy grin split across his face. "Oi, Grot! How's that white magnesium load coming?" Biff led the Wolfguard charge down the shaft of the cannon, heart sinking as he saw they were all too late. There, in front of them all, loomed the vast magnesium shell. The last thing they all saw was "Eat This!" scrawled across in low Gothic as Biff got biffed.
That's so good.
It's fantastic.
Oh, like white magnesium coming out of his giant robot pee hole.
Fucking space docking with a Stormwolf and a Gargant. It's like Hamshot wrote this specifically for me.
Oh.
All of my fetishes, all at once.
It's like DeviantArt come to life.
Okay, you're up. What do you got?
So I've got one by Lord Twisted, which is not quite as outlandish as that one.
Oh, it's good, though.
It is good. And he also took note of not only it being about Biff Tundrish, which That was the main thing. It had to be about Biff'd Tundrish. So we got another fantastic piece by Panoscope, which we won't read today because Biff is not in it.
We're going to use it.
Maybe at a later date we will.
We're going to use it.
But we're going to use it. It's good. But this has Biff'd Tundrish. Biff does get biffed. And he wrote part of it in Skumnik, which is the kind of Clockwork Orange-esque pidgin English that Biff Tundrish speaks in Space Marine, and he did it pretty well.
I'm really excited to hear your take on this, since you're an actual voice actor.
Yeah, occasionally. All right. Brother Tundrish, are you able to hear what I'm saying? Biff blinked slowly within his helm, struggling to concentrate on what the Majos reductor in front of him was saying. The little man was in a dirty red cloak and had an array of weird lenses for eyes. Biff did not like him. He had strange spider limbs. Brother Tundrish, if you are having problems with your new ocular or oral augmetics, I will be happy to examine them for... No, interrupted Biff with a growl. Augs are fine. Talk to me about the box I'm watching. He had been fitted with augmetics after falling into a pulsating orifice on a Tyranid hive ship. He did not like the augmetics. He had also not liked the orifice. It had been... wet. The Magos paused, its eye lenses whirring, before turning back to the incredibly complex and arcane device it was crouched next to. Brother Tundrish, this is a biological ignition flashfire facilitator, designated 17 Genos. It is based on a unique STC fragment, and is an experimental weapon designed to cause high-volume combustion-related injury to all unshielded biological life forms within a half-mile radius through a complex combination of chemical and radiologic... The Magos paused. Biff had clearly stopped paying attention and was trying to read one of his purity seals. Majos accessed a different linguistic subfile designated Hive Gang Cant and tried again. Tundrish, big shine box, you keep safe. If it boom, everyone round get crisped. Proper bad. Scumnick Orks are near. You watch big shine box. No scumnicks get near, Kai. Biff perked up, looking down at the Majos. I watch big shine box for big amp. Yes, for big amp. The Majo stood up, a disturbing motion involving many shining limbs unfurling, and clicked out of the room on gleaming claws. Tundrish, in his battle-scarred yellow battle plate, was left alone. He was in a small underhive chamber with two entrances, mostly filled by the bulk of the 17 Genos device. It was a mass of pipes, valves, and blinking lights. Biff did like the blinking lights.
So do I.
He knew there were greenskins infesting the other underhive, and his battle brothers were off having a good time fighting them. Biff was on guard duty because of the pulsating orifice incident. Thankfully, there were no orifices, pulsating or otherwise, in the hive they were liberating. He looked down at his armor, noticing one of the pretty bits of parchment that the chaplain had put on before the mission. He put his bolter down on the surface of the device, grasping the parchment in two massive gauntleted hands and trying to read it upside down. This took all of his attention, so he didn't really notice the hulking orc enter the chamber until it was too late. The orc smashed him across the faceplate with a crude steel axe, and before Tundrish could recover, the beast had unloaded half a clip into the shiny box that Biff was supposed to be guarding. The little metal Spider-Man was not going to like that. The device immediately started sparking, with green text and runes spilling over the screens on the side. The orc was mesmerized by the spray of colorful sparks, which gave Tundrish time to get back onto his feet and beat the orc to death with his bare hands, turning his yellow warplate into a blood-stained mess. He then looked at the big shine box, grabbing his bolter. There were numbers in the screens. They were going backwards. Biff ignored those. Numbers going forwards were hard enough at the best of times. On the side, he saw a lot of text on the screen. He tried to read this. Biff. Device. Armed? The little metal Spider-Man was probably not going to like that at all. He stood up slightly in the remains of the orc and tried to work out what to do. Thankfully, he didn't have to think long, as the biological ignition flashfire facilitator detonated 2 feet from his face.
I just got it.
Tundrish was wearing venerable Astartes warplate, which proved to be superb at absorbing the ridiculous amount of heat and radiation from the experimental weapon and spreading it over the ceramide armor. Biff had the unpleasant sensation of being quite warm before his nerve endings stopped transmitting through his sheer overload, and most of his skin was turned to ash and crackling. He didn't mind this fact much, as he was more concerned with his eyeballs bursting and most of his brain fluid escaping from his ears in a hiss of superheated steam. From an outward perspective, his blackened armor remained perfectly upright and in place, glowing gently. It just didn't have very much left in it. Biff had been properly biffed by the BIFF.
I gotta say, Lord Twisted has got some fucking writing chops, man.
it's written like very similar to Ian Watson. Like if it was a little bit more sexual, it would be very similar to Ian Watson's work. He definitely took his notes and did his homework on this one.
I got to give it to him on that one. That was a really good story. We have to save, maybe when we don't have shit to talk about, we have to save Fulgrim's Hole by Panoscope for the show at some point.
I think that. I feel like that one was written for you, and
I love it.
But I don't want to talk about that one too much because we want to save
3
it
lines.
for the future.
I want to give 3 lines. Can I give 3 lines from this?
Yeah,
from this story? They were going to have to torture the demon out of Fulgrim, and not just any torture either. It had to be anal torture. Which, as we know,
Activate
is the
fuck pattern 69. Bile said coldly.
Fuck pattern 69. Oh God. Okay. So there you have it, guys. We're gonna figure out something to give to Lord Twisted and Hamshot. Not 100% sure what it is yet because we're unprepared douchebags, but we'll figure something out. Thank you so much for submitting entries to the Fanfiction Challenge, guys. I was really worried for a moment that we weren't going to get any, and we were going to look like a couple of assholes. Well, even more so than we are. But you came through with some really funny, good stuff, and I can't thank you enough for it.
No, we make this show for us, but also for you guys. And knowing there are people who enjoy the show enough that they want to submit their own god awful fan fiction made us really happy.
It's really, really special that you guys were able to give that to us because I was laughing my ass off. The first couple of times I read these things, I was spitting fucking drinks all over my fucking keyboard. I read them at work too, which was probably not a good idea. The first one, the Hamshots one, I read it at work, and my coworkers were like, "What are you laughing at? What's so funny?" And I couldn't tell them. I couldn't tell them it was a story about fucking space wolves and space orcs space docking in space in the taint.
It would take longer to describe the joke than to actually read the story to them, and they would not get it either way.
But it was perfect. So again, thank you so much. We're gonna think up another stupid fucking challenge at some point. But you know what, Campbell? It's over. It's time to go.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. If you want to contact us, we have an email address. It's contact@40kbadcast.com. Send us whatever the fuck you want, and we will reference it on air, maybe?
Maybe, if we like it
Send us pictures of your old models, your shittiest models. Send us pictures of your shittiest models, and we'll post them in the show notes of next show.
At the very least, we can use them for banner images, because we are running out of internet images to use for those.
Yes, send us your horribly painted first models. I want to see them. I want to feel better about myself. And also...
It'll also really help if it says, like, by Joe, age 5 next to it. It'd really help if you wrote that.
Yeah.
Or age 35, whatever.
It's probably age 35. Also, 35. If you have any friends that play 40K or, AOS or fucking Bubble or whatever, tell them about our podcast, please. I would love to get our listener numbers up, and we get about 300, 400 downloads per episode right now. I'd like to get that to 1,000 before the year's out. I think that's a reasonable thing. I know this is a very niche podcast, so it's not going to get fucking huge. We're not going to make any money off this ever. But
it's not odious and a niche.
No. What was that?
Jewel-like objects of wonder that are odious and a niche.
What is that?
Oh, it's from all the leaked legal proceedings with the chapter house thing. We can just cut that whole bit.
Oh no, I thought you were gonna you're trying to hit me with some fucking weeby bullshit.
Oh no, that's legal. That's legal bullshit. Oh. And Alan Merritt saying that people love buying models, not actually playing the game.
We're not gonna cut this. We're gonna keep it in. Fuck you.
Oh, it's
anyways,
bad. It's bad.
Anyways,
okay, fine.
Anyways, tell your friends about the podcast, please. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, and also if you are in either the DC or Boston area, we live in both those places. So hit us up. We'll be happy to get a game in with you.
Because that would be a lot of fun. Also, in May of 2017, I'm going to start a Blood Bowl League in the DC area. So if you're interested in joining up, or you're interested in just learning how to play Blood Bowl and you live nearby, contact@40kbadcast.com. Let's get together. Let's have some fun. Let's slam some hams.
Yeah. And if you want to check out other stuff I've been doing, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/camhammershow. updates every other week, about as often as this show's supposed to. So you can check out stuff there. I just put out a video last week about the Stormtrooper army I took to Philadelphia. And if you want to check out our actual website, we have a real website now. So it's 40kbadcast.com, and you can see all the good stuff there. And actually read those show notes we talk about.
And unfortunately, I do have some bad news. We are going to be another week late for the next episode.
No!
I will be in Austin, Texas for a week at South by Southwest. Fucking literally running across the city for a whole week, interviewing people and hauling camera gear and all this bullshit. I don't know why I'm complaining. It's a ton of fun. But anyways,
Yeah,
I'll be
no.
out of town for a week, and we will be unable to record on time. But we'll get it to you the couple days before Adepticon starts.
So you can listen to that on your plane ride over.
It'll be a ton of fun. Hopefully, we'll get it out by the Tuesday before Adepticon. It's the 21st, I think, of March. Right?
All right. You're asking me to remember days and point
It's like 3
numbers.
weeks.
I'm bad at
It's
this
like
shit.
3 weeks from now is the whole idea.
Yeah, it's coming up real soon.
All right, man. Do you have an inspirational quote for us?
That I do. Give me a gun, a Google-eyed alien to shoot it at, and I'll die a happy man.
All right, that's it. I'm Dan Boyd. That's Campbell McLovey-Dovey. And this has been the 40k Badcast. See you next time.
Bye.